7 billion human beings are same human being. Same way born, same way taking mother's milk, same way die. So, while we alive, much better live together with sense of oneness of 7 billion human beings, and then try to promote human compassion, human loving kindness. So that's my number one commitment. So I want to share with you. Then number two commitment, religious harmony. On this planet, over 1,000 years, I think almost 3,000 years, different religious traditions develop. All carry the message of love, inspired in different philosophy, different concept. All, you see, carry the practice of love and forgiveness, tolerance. So all major religious traditions, different philosophy there. Some say there is creator. Those theistic religion, they believe creator. And then those non-theistic religion, you say no belief, no idea of creator, ourself, you see, created. And then, as you see, scientists say, evolution. Gradually, we human being, from monkey, from further, as a further goes, some, you see, I think originally some jellyfish or something. Then gradually, you see, come to earth because of the or land. Then gradually, you see, we develop like that. So our brain also, you see, 1,000 years, several thousand years, gradually develop with our physical. So therefore, the different philosophical view, but all carry same message of love. So on that basis, religious harmony certainly can develop. India is one example. All world major religious traditions live together in India, like Judaism, Christian, or Christianity, and then Zoroastrian. All these different, religious traditions live together here. We never heard, you see, problem. For example, problem between Shia and Sunni. I never heard. See, this country, in the past history, sometimes some problems, but basically India is the example religious harmony. So India, number two most populated nation, but religious harmony there. So therefore, my number two commitment is try to promote religious harmony and mutual learning and work together. Then third my commitment, I am Tibetan. Tibetan people trust me. They put a lot of hope on me. So I have moral responsibility. So regarding Tibet, my main concern is preservation of Tibetan language, because Tibetan language is the closest language with Sanskrit. So the ancient Buddhist tradition, Pali tradition, Sanskrit tradition, is we Tibetan over 1,000 years, the Sanskrit tradition. See, we translated number of Sanskrit text and a Pali text. So together, altogether 300 volumes. So we study these texts and meditate. Very useful. So that knowledge, I feel, not only Tibetan, Tibetan knowledge or Tibetan thing, but I can say Tibetan knowledge, which come from Nalanda tradition, is really precious of world. Whether believer or non-believer, in Sanskrit tradition, lot of sort of explanation about logic, about philosophy. These we can consider academic subject, not religious subject. So therefore, I really feel worthwhile to preserve Tibetan knowledge since 8th century. The Shadarakshita from Nalanda, invited by Tibetan king, and he, great logician, great philosopher. So, we Tibetan, over 1,000 years, follow his advice seriously. So, I feel this knowledge really worthwhile preserve. For that, Tibetan language, very, very useful. So that's why, and then another thing is Tibetan environment. Tibet, high altitude, and most of the river which cover from Pakistan, India, then of course Bangladesh and these countries, and also the Vietnam, and then China, Yellow River. So the major river which cover whole Asia, the ultimate source from Tibet. Therefore, Tibetan ecology should sort of preserve. Particularly now, global warming, year by year or decade by decade, the global warming now would be very, very obviously. I myself also experienced when I came to Dharamsala in 1960. That winter, a lot of snow. Then each year, snow less. So there's clear sign of global warming. So now global warming really become very serious. So Tibet ecology preserve these sources of these river, very important. And then my fourth commitment, that is, since these knowledge originally come from India, modern India now should pay more attention these ancient Indian knowledge and secular way, not religious thing, not considered as a religion or Buddhism, but simply, for example, logic. You see, simply sort of also the training our mind, sharpening our mind, and nothing to do with next life or heaven. Simply this very life, you see, become more peaceful. So India, ahimsa, non-violence, over 3,000 years, these concepts, and karuna, compassion. That's the Indian tradition. So modern India now should pay more attention to preserve non-violence and compassion, these things. India has also the possibility to combine inner value and material value combined. So that's my latest, the fourth commitment, like that. So now here you, as a human brothers, sisters, think about my four commitment. If you find some useful, then try to implement and then share with more young people. Today's world, too much materialistic thinking, not much sort of thinking about our inner value. And psychologically, you should say, I think modern education, modernity only sort of concern sensorial consciousness. Not much thinking about a sixth mind. Sixth mind, you see, without also they depend on eye consciousness, ear consciousness, because of the smell consciousness, all these ignore. But sixth mind, there, also the basis of shamatha, single-pointed meditation, and vipassana, analytical meditation. These two are related with sixth mind, not senses of organs. So these, I think, is now in modern time, materialistic life, now pay more about our inner value. Firstly, inner sixth mind, like that. So, now questions and any sort of also the advice from some also the professors. Yes. Yes.
Good morning, His Holiness. My name is from Thailand. I am 24 years old and currently a marketing strategist. And my questions today is, when it comes to compassion, why is it easier to be compassionate to others rather than to ourselves? Thank you.
As some scientists say, you see, we are social animal. Even when we born, the mother provide us sort of immense compassion, nothing to do with religion. The children also, you see, without that, we can't survive. So that's the way start our life. So the loving kindness from other is till our death very important. Dying person, that person may have a lot of gold, diamond, sort of diamond or things. Say that dying person no sort of get inspiration. Inspiration. The dying person is surrounded with human being, with showing genuine sense of concern. Then the dying person feel happy. So our life begins with human compassion. at the end of our life, surrounded with compassionate person, the dying person much happier. So that we should know. And then those billionaire or the leaders without compassion, without inner peace, they actually may not be happy person, always anxiety, always sort of scare or suspicion like that. So therefore, the compassion is very, very important. Should not consider compassion is some religious matter. No. It's for human beings' survival, like that. Okay. Next.
Your Holiness, the next question is from Hong Kong young adults.
Hong Kong. Yes.
Good morning, His Holiness. My name is Wee, and I'm from Hong Kong. I'm currently a movie maker, and I'm 29 years old. And my question today is, mental bullying on internet makes young people self-harm or attempt suicide. So how should the youth handle their emotion and face all this negativity that impacts them? Thank you.
그래서 러시아
등산 타겟토네야 미지 숨부서야 다든지
그래.
원유시에라든지 타겟토네 랑 미신바다 대화체는 원유시에라든지 용도는 장소 제야로서 같은지 간이 책도 뒤인데
I believe you know our intelligence actually entirely belongs to ourselves. So we can look different ideas, different sort of ideology or even different religion, but the ultimate sort of decision up to ourselves. So Buddha, now for example, Buddha himself, you see, told us, oh my follower, should not accept my teaching out of faith, but rather thorough investigation. Through that way, if you find some useful, then you accept, then you follow. So therefore, the individual intelligence, great role. So we should not sort of follow some kind of just a faith or investigation. That is very important. My own case, I'm Buddhist. From childhood, I study this Nalanda tradition, logical approach. So even Buddha's own word, we always raise question, why Buddha say that? Then investigate. So therefore, that very useful. Not just faith, not belief, but investigation, like that. So you, a young person, utilize your intelligence, unbiased, neutral, and then more investigation. And then every sort of your work, your life, you see through investigation, analyze, then you find now this way is the best, and you also can seek some of your trusted friends' views. Then follow that. Then even there's some problems facing, so no regret. I try investigate and seek some advice. So that's the right way or right path. My own case, now 80, 85, 85 years old. About, I think, 13, 14, I lost my freedom. Then, my age, around 20, I become a refugee. I lost my own country. And then, since 59, it's an inside situation, a lot of sort of problem, a lot of suffering. But as I sort of mentioned already, so when difficult situation happen, to analyze, I decide this decision out of thorough investigation. Now this is best. So even some problems, consequences, some happen, no regret. Okay. Then basically, now we, Tibet, India, historically very close link. So now India, the democratic country. So now last 60 years, I become, I enjoy the India's freedom. Okay.
Your Holiness, the next question is from a student from Malaysia.
Yes.
Good morning, His Holiness. My name is Jajen, and I'm from Malaysia. I am 20 years old this year. Here is my question.
Yes. No.
I was retrenched from work under current recession. Is it due to my bad karma? How can I overcome this? Does religion help? Thank you.
Karsa, karma, ka. You are young. So I think long future. So you should not remain with feeling of hopelessness. Don't think that way. For temporary, some problem, but always possible to overcome that. Right. Now, as already I indicated, the existing modern education, not much talk about our mind, about our inner peace. People sometimes feel when we talk about inner value, then depend on religion. As I mentioned earlier, you see, inner value without touching religious faith, that we can do. So now modern education, purely education, nothing to do with religion. But education should include education about a material thing or science and technology, and meantime education about our emotion, about our mind. That's lacking now, today's existing education. Education, you see, should include knowledge about a material thing, including our physical thing, and should include our mind, our emotion. Then with that, like our physical, facing some illness, you see, we take the method to cure that according to the illness. Similarly, mental problem, when develop, so is how to tackle our mental problem. As a part of education, that I think modern education, I feel lacking that. So I think from West, modern education started. Then at that time, about emotion, inner value is concerned, they totally rely on religion, church, religion. Now religion, including Buddhism, you see people not necessarily, you see, faithful. So therefore, without touching religion, we should develop education about our mind, about our emotion. Okay. And we Asia, the tradition, some meditation there. So like most of the Asian country, you see some knowledge about meditation, analytical meditation, and single-pointed meditation. For that, you see, you spend a few moments, you see, don't think about seeing or hearing these things. Just simply try to some kind of meditate on pure mind. You know, usually we simply, you see, following sensorial consciousness. Now sensorial consciousness neutralize. You just think. Some kind of thoughtlessness. Then gradually you gain some experience about mind, clear. Then with that, the deeper level of, also there's a power to analyze things. That, then analytical meditation. So firstly, single-pointed mind, some kind of thoughtlessness. That immense help to increase our mental strength. Then analyze. So, the modern education, just material, so sensorial, 5 sensorial sort of consciousness, dealing with that, not 6th mind. Okay. So please, young people, now think more. And now here, quantum physics also is not, they accept what appearances. Then think sort of deeper way. So quantum physicists, according to that, you see, they say there is differences, appearances, and the deeper reality. So senses of organs, mainly, you see, appearances. The 6th mind go deeper level, the more detailed, deeper reality. So my Indian friend told me, expressed to me, quantum physics in the West, something new. In this country, in East, quantum physics over 1,000 years already developed. That's very true. So most of the emotion come on appearances. So you go deeper level, the reality. The appearances is something good, something bad. That is the basis of our emotion. So you go deeper level, then you see everything particle. Now, for example, the material thing, everything particle, nothing sort of solid. Then the very basis of anger, very basis of attachment, no longer there. One Buddhist concept, shunyata. We usually use Sanskrit word shunyata, emptiness. Also, you see, things does not exist as appears. At the deeper level, you see nothing as appears. So this, if you have some interest and then think, study about quantum physics, I think very useful. Modern psychologists and quantum physics combined, useful. Okay. Thank you.
Singapore, a young lady working in an interfaith organization.
Oh, yes.
Good morning, Your Holiness. My name is Nazat Fahima. I'm a working adult and I also volunteer with the Hash Peace movement. My question is, despite the various efforts to promote religious harmony, religious extremism and exclusivism continues to grow in many parts of the world. How can young people like us do something to help with this issue? Thank you.
출루 튼지기 돌아가는 전 랭귀 가져 빼나야. 출루 튼지기 랭귀 가져 빼게 망부 여러분. 대 빼나야 다도 지 따와 착부 심진의 extremism다 디조페티 시오지 개도도 스타디 답시 가려 그랬어.
As I already mentioned, the existing children from their young age, see, they are not sort of no opportunity to study about basic mind and pure these things. So now, as I mentioned, existing education system very much sort of oriented about material value, and then there, you see, they very much lacking deeper understanding about basic mind or nature of mind or nature of human being. So now religion and superficial, then sometimes faith also become disposal of also the basis of we and they, lacking thinking oneness, same human being, but too much emphasis on secondary level of differences, different race, different color, different country, different religion, and within religion, Buddhist, you see, the Pali tradition, Sanskrit tradition, and sometimes Tantric tradition. In Tibet case, you see yellow-head sect, red-head sect, black-head sect. You see, sometimes you see we found too much sort of division, and then your sort of feeling of I have the places, my religion, my community. So these are narrow-minded, narrow thinking. So Muslim, Shia and Sunni, as I briefly mentioned, you see, Shia, Sunni, and then within that, different country, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and these different Muslim country. And unfortunately, in ancient time also, religion very much used by king or queen. So Muhammad also used to carry one sword. So now modern time or ancient time, you see political power and religious faith sometimes go together. So feudal system, you see, utilize religious faith. Now that gone. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we must, you see, emphasis oneness of humanity. That this religion is personal matter, secondary thing. So you should think that way. As a Muslim, I have, you see, many good friends, Muslim, in Lhasa, some Muslim, Ladakhi Muslim, very peaceful, no record of quarrel. And you see Tibetan, particularly Tibetan monk, fond visit Mongolian Islam, or Muslim sort of shops, and they also talk very nice, very peaceful, like that. So record those Muslim in Lhasa very, very peaceful. So that's basic nature. And then also I have some experience, some Muslim, in Ladakhi Muslim, very peaceful, wonderful. I really fond the Muslim food. Some sort of Ladakhi delegation, you see, came to see me and invite me. Then sometimes I told them, I must come, I will come. And then including the Muslim lunch should be there. So very nice. See, depend your own attitude, Muslim, Hindu, Christian, or Sikhism, all. You see, the individual matter, individual sort of practice. Actually, we are same human brothers, sisters, and we have to live side by side. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Holiness.
So
the next question.
Now I think the personal level contact very important. Like Ladakhi Muslim, you see, they always, you see, quite acquaint the Buddhist community or some Christian community. So then those Muslim country like Syria and these, little bit isolate, not sort of also the opportunity to meeting with different follower of different religion. That makes sort of differences. So, also the international level, I think more contact. So I, since I have some friend in Ladakh Muslim, so I suggested to them, you should organize one international Muslim conference in Delhi, because of the national level. So I also made some donation. So they organized that. And some Iranian religious people also used to come. So now I'm thinking that kind of meeting annually, firstly, international level Muslim, then other follower, join together. So we need regular effort. It's some kind of religious, because of international religious sort of conference. That's important. Okay.
Thank you, Your Holiness. The next question will be from Indonesia.
Good morning, His Holiness. My name is Danish. I'm from Indonesia. I'm 26 and I'm a doctor. So my question is, can His Holiness explain to us the difference between loving oneself and being selfish? Thank you.
Korsa.
And 수술을 제부치었다. 양치 그 랑도지 제가 세셔라. 딩이 바로 제가 랑시 제셔라. 랑시 제다. 수술 제부치고 니 바로 개박하여.
Now if you think wider way, then everybody, you see, loves oneself and some kind of selfish, always there. If you really want you individual, happy individual, and since we are social animal, one individual's life or successful life entirely depend on the community. So the best way to take care of oneself is to take the very basis of our life. Okay. If you just think oneself, selfish way, narrow-minded, then you can't survive. The survival, or including particularly happy life, entirely depend on others. So we should take care of others. Others is very basis of our individual happiness or successful life. So therefore, now when we take care, now farmer take care about farmland, because their life depend on farm, so take care, not some kind of compassion, but because you see, farmland is the farmers sort of the sources of their life, like that. Okay. What do you think? Do you have some argument? You know, Tibetan sort of tradition, study, we, as the subject of logic subject, we always, you see, debate. So I also, you see, from childhood, you see, get used debate. If others say something, then you should argue. Like that. Okay. Next.
Thank you, Your Holiness. We have now a working youth from Singapore.
Yes.
Good morning, Your Holiness. I'm Leonard. I'm 23 from Singapore. I'm a student and a volunteer with HPs. My question is, what is the benefit of learning Buddhism if we are not Buddhist? Thank you.
As I mentioned earlier, about the psychology, about the logic. The logic is very helpful to analyze things. In order to know the deeper level, analyzation, analytical meditation, very important. So these now, and over, I think, 1,000 years, the Nalanda tradition, you see, actually very, very academic sort of institution. So therefore, in Buddhist tradition, according to Nalanda tradition, we extensively use logical approach. At the meantime, psychology. Now these things, I think, are Muslim brothers or Christian brothers, sisters, they say, I think worthwhile to learn. Faith is your own personal matter. So you can keep your own personal faith. But intellectual level, you see, these Buddhists, although ancient time, many Hindus, great scholars, a lot of debate between Buddhist scholars, Hindu scholars. But then gradually, the Buddhist Nalanda, now here in India, the Buddhism also, you see, almost disappeared. Nalanda now ruined, nothing. So we kept. And then China also is a follower of Nalanda tradition. So the differences, the Chinese case, you see, not much sort of emphasis, study. Whereas with Tibetan and Mongolian, over 1,000 years, we very much emphasis study and use logic. So you can learn these, also a certain sort of method which increase our sharpness of our mind, and philosophy, all phenomena, not just to see God's creation, but more detailed, like that. So, beside your own faith, or atheist, no faith, but you can study, it's a logical approach and philosophical things. Like that. Okay. Yes? Now, next.
Your Holiness, the next question is from Malaysia, the younger students in now, one of the younger students.
Malaysia?
No.
Okay.
Morning, His Holiness. My name is Gigi. I'm from Malaysia. I'm 19 years old and currently a university student. My question is, technology and society are changing faster and we are forced to move forward quickly. What do young people need to learn today for better tomorrow? Thank you.
그래서
등상이 때 추리제다. 추리릭 된소 돈에 때 추리릭 된소 yar게 쉬우지 저거를 추리릭 된소. 다는 인터넷 다
추리.
된소 yar게 쉬우지 저도 수수에 되는 신 격부를 싶에 미지나 수수에 간 내가도 격부를 치고야다. 쉬우지 살아를 보셔야 되는데 혹시 차고도 안된데 인데 다시 쉬게 속에 지금 단대 가소래 마음에 된다. 다시 상담. 근데 쉬고 있는 사실.
As we already discussed, you see, we have this emotion, this mind. So this emotion and mind are not produced by mission, but by nature. Our brain, you see, develop different emotions, different intelligence, all these things. So therefore, now, as I already mentioned, our education should include education about our inner world. External world, yes, quite detailed now. The sort of scientifically, you see, the explanation. Now, about our mind, you see, we usually, not much sort of pay attention, and in education field, not include. So as I already mentioned, now, education should include about our inner world, about our mind. Now, some of my friend, the brain specialist, you see, they even, I think in the past till late 20th century, they no idea about mind, only brain. Now, later part of 20th century, now begin to feel beside brain, there is something which actually affect our brain. Now some special a specialist about brain. Now like Richard Davidson, very great scholar about brain. So now they last, you see, in the later part of 20th century and beginning of 21st century, you see now those scientists, brain specialists, you see, they already some experiment. You see, people who, you see, have some deeper experience about meditation, then while they meditate, what kind of change in their brain? Now they, some of them, already accepted beside the brain, there is something which affects our brain. That we call mind. So now, in science and field of science, now people more and more pay attention about mind. So when we talk about mind, that subject quite big. And some knowledge about mind really transform the person. Okay. Animal cannot. Only human brain. Okay.
Dr. Avita.
Good morning, His Holiness. I'm Avita. I represent Malaysia. I'm a doctor and a teacher and a seeker. So my question for you today is, what should be the true intention to achieve enlightenment? Does it change with era and the time? Thank you.
전주 고방 산계 고방도 토비알라 제 꿀론도 간데시 고레스 대지 뒤를 뒤에 양지 제 대배 여러 베스티 군노디.
Now firstly, as I already mentioned, you see, we must utilize the sixth mind's ability. So for that, what to call meditation or thoughtlessness, that help to increase ability of our mind, sixth mind. Then the clear and very powerful, you see, that sixth mind now focusing certain object to analyze. So from the Buddhist viewpoint, all destructive emotion, such as anger, fear, attachment, all these based on ignorance. As I mentioned earlier, about quantum physics on the basis of appearances. So the sixth mind used sixth mind the deeper level of reality. Then the very basis of emotion no longer active. Okay. So now first, some sort of, I think including in school or college, I think students should spend a few minutes meditation, some kind of thoughtlessness. Usually it's thoughtlessness, sensorial sort of consciousness. Then sensorial consciousness is a stop. Then sixth mind become more active. Then the sixth mind, the ability, sixth mind increasing. Then that use the analytical meditation, analyze. We call shamatha is stand still, single-pointed meditation. Then vipassana, analytical meditation. So, analytical meditation, very, very helpful. I also my daily practice is analytical meditation. As quantum physicists say, what's the reality? Then all those emotions, you see, which based on ignorance, no longer sort of foundation. All the positive emotion are not based on ignorance, rather based on reason. So that further develop. Those emotions based on ignorance no further sort of develop. Because ignorance is no basis to analyze, then ignorance become thinner like that. So one also the encouraging thing is all destructive emotion based on ignorance, as the quantum physics say, based on appearances. Then positive emotions such as compassion or wisdom, not based on appearances, but analyze deeper level. So think more and more, also the strength come increasing. So that much I can, through my own little experience, I can tell you like that. Now, as a Buddhist monk, and particularly Nalanda tradition, follower of Nalanda tradition, and particularly Nagarjuna. Nagarjuna, you may have heard? Nagarjuna, or in Chinese, usually say Longsu Pusa. Great scholar, great practitioner. Traditionally, we all follow of Longsu Pusa, Nagarjuna. It's his theory, Madhyamika Mulakarika, one text. Every day I read some portion and think. Very, very helpful, very helpful. All destructive emotion, you see, based on ignorance. The ignorance, say, the antidote of ignorance is understanding deeper level, the reality. So very helpful, very useful. You originally India?
Yes.
India?
Yes.
Very good. Next.
Your Holiness, the next question is from Vietnam, a student.
Yes.
Good morning, His Holiness. My name is Rose from Vietnam. I'm 21 years old and I am an interior design student. My question is, how can someone who is still studying be practicing Dharma at the same time? Thank you.
Karsa. I start my practice age 7, 8 years old. I already started practice. So meantime, I study. So 7, 8 years. Since 7, 8 years old, I start study. Our Nalanda tradition study the root text, memorize. Then each word according commentary explaining. Then use debate, logical approach. So when we carry debate, we are expecting some mistake from other side. Then you feel very happy to argue. If answer from the other side, everything right, then no opportunity to debate. So according to my own experience, you see, study and practice certainly can go together. Now, 85, 86-year-old me, still study. I study. Whenever I have some opportunity, read some books which I already sort of study, or some new books, study. So there is the wisdom. You see, one level, hearing. One level, thinking. That more powerful. The knowledge just from hearing or reading is just a knowledge. Then on that, that subject, further investigate by yourself. Then second level of knowledge, understanding. That quite firm. The first level of knowledge, if some other person say something different, then you may feel, then you get doubt. When you reach the second level, you yourself analyze, then deeper understanding, then some other person say something different, then you feel, I already analyzed thoroughly. So that knowledge, you see, entirely based on reason. So that knowledge is the basis of experience. Then further familiarize that knowledge, then gradually gain experience. Now, for me, like the philosophical view about nothing independently exists, that now over 50 years, I think. So that really transformed my mind. And then altruism. It's a few decades thinking, really transformed my mind. Meantime, study. Okay. Recently, I was on one occasion I visit Japan, and then in monastery, in temple, Japan, one sort of meeting, and I told them, I told that gathering, I hope, you see, this temple should be used for debate, for discussion, not just, you see, meditation. I mentioned. So study, very, very important. here I may share with you one sort of, a private sort of conversation. I have a lot of sort of friends, Japanese Buddhist monk, Buddhist scholar. So one Buddhist abbot also is a good scholar. We often discuss. See, and then one day he told me, we Japanese Buddhists always recite Hangya Shingyu, the Paramita Sutra. Hard Paramita Sutra. But then he quite sort of, because of humble, he mentioned every Japanese Buddhist recite that, but without knowing the meaning. He appreciates, you see, my a little explanation about these things. He expressed to me. He very much appreciates. So study, very important. The particularly Nalanda tradition is maximum utilize our intelligence. Think. Not just faith. Okay.
Thank you, Holiness. We have last question.
So you should think, you see, me, old person, as I mentioned earlier, still study. So these young people must pay more attention, study. Okay.
We have 3 more questions. And the next question will be from Professor Imtiaz Yusof from Malaysia University.
Yes.
Namaste, Your Holiness. I have to inform you that I teach a course on human dignity and human freedom. Your book, your autobiography, Freedom in Exile, as a reading for my students. And it is very, very beneficial. Well, my question is this. Here in Southeast Asia, in Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, Myanmar, Islam and Buddhism are the 2 main religions. But there is very little understanding between the people about the true teachings of each other's religions. How can we develop better and deeper understanding between Muslims and Buddhists in Southeast Asia so that we can have a better understanding for peace and coexistence? Thank you.
Karsa,
Southeast Asian Southeast Asian chulu chimbuni yoris nangjuda kaji kurani pazu ani tundi yaga yawada zu penzu chetu kariche yoris.
As I already mentioned, like Ladakhis, the majority of the Ladakhi people, Buddhist. At the same time, some Muslims also there. So as I mentioned earlier, you see the Indian Muslim should take more active role to promote a dialogue or discussion with Buddhists and Muslim, as I already mentioned. So I'm looking forward. In India, I think international level religious conference from time to time, I think should take place. Not just some function, not that way. Serious discussion, very useful. Okay. And if question whether there is God creator or not, that's beyond our knowledge. And impossible to study about God's mind. But we only concern about mind of human being. So I really seriously thinking more sort of conference in India, I think really worthwhile, relevant. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Your Holiness. The next question will be from Mr. Kishore Babubani from Singapore.
Sound.
In the beginning. Your Holiness, you spoke of technology and compassion in the beginning of your remarks. Today, humanity has the technology and the resources to bring global poverty to zero. We also have compassion. Yet, despite this, we cannot get rid of global poverty. Why are we failing in this noble endeavor? Thank you, Your Holiness.
That poor people on this planet, rich and poor, huge gap. Now this also is a source of problem. International level also you see, like African and some other country, very poor. And northern world is economically much better. So within one country, now India, there are millionaires, but many poor people there. So we really need a sense of sort of concern for we are same human being. See, those richer people, you see, should help more the young people, the poor people. And then the poor people, you see, should provide some facility, some technology, making themselves, you see, self-support. So this gap, rich and poor, this is quite serious matter. And so now, for example, this very moment in America, this is a problem. Actually, I think the gap rich and poor. They originally come from Africa for slave. These African, you see, they economically poor. As a result, is in the society where materialistic society, poor people always look down. This is also a problem. We have to think how to reduce this gap, rich and poor. And in this respect, the socialist thinking, capitalist, just individualistic. The socialist thinking about majority. But then sometimes, now China also is a socialist country, but huge gap, rich and poor. So I think genuine, you see, socialist system is very important. Like that. So in any way, in order to reduce this gap, rich and poor, the richer side should pay more attention. Okay.
Thank you, Your Holiness. Our last question is coming from Malaysia. This is the last question for today's dialogue.
Morning, Your Holiness. My name is Cindy. I am 32 years old and I am currently working in the mental health field in Malaysia. The question I have is, how can youth play a role in bringing happiness to the world?
가서. 가. I already mentioned that our education, existing education, is really something lacking. The education about our inner world, how to develop inner peace. These are the key thing. And right from the beginning, the student always think about material thing. And the modern science, technology also uses serving material thing. So now, I already mentioned some great scientists already, you see, mentioning importance of our mind. So now I think within, I think next few years, I think more and more people, I think really, especially in the field of education, I think more and more people paying more attention about our inner value and study or knowledge about our emotion, how to tackle our emotion. That I think should develop. Okay.
Thank you, Your Holiness, very much for the enriching dialogue. I believe all the youth have benefited greatly from your views and advice. And on behalf of the organizing team, we thank you again. And we would like to request for another youth dialogue in the near future if your schedule allows. Thank you again, Your Holiness, and wish you stay healthy and well.
Oh, yes? Okay. Actually, as a Buddhist practitioner, I dedicated my body, speech, mind, well-being for others. So I already sort of ready. And now, particularly now, with modern technology, I comfortably remain here and talk, share with more. So I always ready talk, share some of my experience. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Holiness. Dear participants, you may now unmute your mic to greet and thank you, Your Holiness, as he's leaving.
Thank you. Thank you. See you again. Okay, see you again. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.